In this class, we will understand the modeling as well as performance, or specifically we'll see just the modeling of long transmission lines. Modeling of long transmission lines, here if you observe, uh, the long transmission lines have the lengths greater than physical lengths. Basically, the long transmission lines have the physical lengths greater than 160 kilometers. Okay, so as far as our Indian perspective is considered, the line whose physical length is equal to or below 80 kilometers, we treated such a line as a short line. And if the physical length is in between 80 kilometers to 160 kilometers, we treated such a line as medium line. And if the length is greater than 160 kilometers, we treat this line as a long transmission line. Now, whereas for short and medium transmission lines, the parameters like resistance, inductance and capacitance are observed as a lumped parameters, are represented as a lumped parameters. Whereas for long transmission lines, in addition to resistance, inductance and capacitance, we also consider the conductance usually. So resistance, inductance, capacitance and conductance all can be represented as a distributed elements. As the length is very much higher, we cannot keep them physically separate. Okay, we cannot lump them together. That is the reason why the representation of these parameters is in long transmission lines is in a distributed fashion, whereas the representation of these parameters in short and medium lines is in a lumped fashion, right? So for long transmission lines, we'll consider all the four parameters. So let us draw a long transmission line. So here I am considering this as the resistance, this as the inductance and this as the capacitance, and you also have another element which is conductance. We have seen the reasons why we are representing the resistance and inductance as the series elements and capacitance and conductance as the shunt elements. We have seen the reasons also. Now I'm not going into that. Now this is the resistance per unit length, and I'm considering this as L, capacitance with the small c, and this conductance as small g. So for each and every meter length, all these four parameters are distributed. So resistance, inductance, capacitance and conductance. Again, so resistance, inductance, capacitance and conductance. Like that, for each and every meter length, you have all the parameters that are uniformly distributed. Okay, so this is the per phase equivalent impedance diagram for a long line. As we cannot lump them together, okay, so this is the sending end Vs, and this is the sending end current Is, and this is the sending end voltage Vs. Like that, you have this these elements distributed for the entire length. Somewhere here you may have the receiving end, and we call this voltage as the receiving end voltage, and we call this current as the receiving end current. Here the load is connected. Okay, the side where the source is connected, we call that side as sending end. The side where the load is connected, we call that particular end as receiving end. This is a per phase equivalent impedance diagram. Per phase equivalent impedance diagram for long transmission line. Now, what is the difficulty with this representation? So the difficulty with this representation is as we cannot lump them together, we cannot apply basic circuit laws which are KVL, KCL, Ohm's law, all these, we cannot apply them easily. So for long transmission lines, it is very difficult, or it is almost impossible to apply KVL and KCL to extract the relations between the sending end and receiving end terms. This is the problem of long transmission line. Hence, we will go for a rigorous solution. Okay. So, in order to deduce or in order to extract the relations between the sending end and receiving end quantities, we will go for a rigorous solution, which involves some differentiations. Okay, as well as some trigonometry, as well as differentiations are involved in the rigorous solution. We cannot use the normal circuit analysis techniques in order to extract the relations between sending end terms and receiving end terms, because we cannot separate them as a single element. As you have resistance here, here and here, we cannot represent this as a single resistance, and we cannot represent this as a single capacitance or inductance or conductance, whatever it may be. So that is the reason why we will go for rigorous solution. So with the help of rigorous solution, what we can obtain is, with the help of rigorous solution, we can obtain the voltage and currents. We can obtain the voltage and currents at any point along the transmission line. We can obtain the voltage and current values at any point along the transmission line. At any point along the transmission line. This is the advantage of rigorous solution, right? Now let us see how we can obtain voltage and current at any point along the transmission line. Why? Because see here, as we have many parameters at each and every point involved, the voltage at this point is different from voltage at this point, the voltage at this point is different from at this point. So there will be some variations in the voltages and currents along the transmission lines. So in order to obtain these variations, it is not possible to apply KVL and KCL. So we are going for rigorous solution. Now let us represent the transmission line like this, and let me represent like this. So each and every meter will have the 4 parameters uniformly distributed. So let me draw one more element. For your understanding, I am drawing the circuit again. Like this, you have the parameters distributed up to the receiving end from the sending end. Now I call this voltage as the sending end voltage, this voltage as the sending end current, and I call this voltage, which is the receiving end voltage, and this current as the receiving end current. Now I am considering a portion of this entire transmission line, a small length of this entire length of the transmission line. So considering that the length of the transmission line as L, and considering all the 4 parameters that are distributed for this small length, so this is the small length, which is delta x out of the total length. I am assuming this as a delta x length, right? The voltage exactly entering, the voltages as well as the currents exactly entering to the delta x section, I will assume the voltages as V plus delta V, the voltage here as V plus delta V, and current here as I plus delta I, and the voltages and currents after this element, I am assuming this as the voltage V and this current as I. Okay, let us assume that this element is at a distance of x units. It may be x meters or x kilometers, whatever it may be. So let us assume this element is at a distance of x units from the receiving end. The length of this small element is delta x. In this small element we have some series resistance and inductance, as well as shunt capacitance, as well as conductance. So let us assume this as the impedance for for 1 meter length. I am assuming Z is nothing but the impedance per unit length. Let me assume that the impedance Z as the impedance per unit length. Similarly, I am assuming Y as the admittance, per unit length, and as L is nothing but the length of the transmission line, the total impedance Z is the product of the impedance per unit length multiplied with length. So this is the total admittance of the line, and I am assuming capital Y as the total admittance of the line. So I am multiplying this with Y. So it is nothing but that, sorry, here I made a mistake. It is actually total impedance. So total impedance of the line, and Y is nothing but total admittance of the line. Okay. Now let us study only this part, this small part, which is at a distance of x meters from the receiving end, having a length of delta x. Let us study only this part. So I am representing this as a small impedance. See, if Z is impedance per unit length, for a length of delta x, what is Z? For a length of delta x, impedance is Z into delta x. Similarly, for a length of delta x, the admittance is small y into delta x. So I am assuming this as admittance. What is meant by here y? Y is nothing but the parallel combination of, I am representing with a single element, single box here, which is nothing but admittance. So it is nothing but a parallel combination of capacitance and conductance. What is Z? Small z is nothing but the series combination of resistance and small r, resistance and L, okay, inductance per unit length. So I am representing only this small element which is of width delta x. So the voltage entering at this terminal is V plus delta V, and the current entering here is I plus delta I. Similarly, the voltage here is V and the current here is I, right? Now, what is the relation between different parameters? Let us see here, right? So this is V delta V. So delta V voltage get dropped here and the remaining voltage is appeared here. It indicates that delta V is given by what is the drop here? The current flowing through this element multiplied with this impedance. So it is I plus delta I into Z into delta x. Now I can write delta V as I Z into delta x plus Z into delta I into delta x. Now as the second term is a product of two small variations, what is meant by delta I? A small change in current I. And what is meant by delta x? A small change in length x. Okay, so this is a smaller value and this is also very smaller value. The product of these two terms is a very much smaller value. So this entire term is very, very small. So I can neglect. So we can neglect this term, right? Because it is a product of two smaller values. Now delta V is almost equal to Iz into delta X. From this, what I can write is delta V by delta X as, let me do that in separate page, delta V by delta X as I into Z, I into small z, I into small z. Similarly, here if you observe, I plus delta I current is entering here, I is leaving here. The remaining delta I must flow through this path. Now what is the admittance of this path? Y into delta X, and what is the voltage across this path? V. So now delta I, which is the current flowing through this path, is the product of this voltage and this admittance. So V into Y delta X is nothing but delta I. Remaining current is I. Let me write here. Delta I is equal to V into Y delta X. Now, what is delta I by delta X? Delta I by delta X is V into Y. Okay. Now, when I want to find the voltage variation or the current variation exactly at the point, okay, so we can take the limit for this differentiation. If I want to find the voltage variation exactly at the point, so I can take limit delta X tends to 0. When delta X is tending to 0 means I am reducing the length slowly and making it into 0. Making it into 0 is nothing but we want to find the voltage at that point. We want to find the current at that point. That point means the width will be 0. The length will be 0. Hence I am applying the limit for this delta X. So limit delta X is delta X tends to 0, delta V by delta X is nothing but I into Z, right? If you apply limit here also, there will be no change in its value because you have a current and you have Z, both are constants with respect to change in X. Now, according to the definition of differentiation, so when limit tends to 0, change in one term with change in another term can be represented as the differentiation. So dV by dx is equal to I into Z. Consider this equation as the first equation. Similarly, using the same analysis here, I am applying the limit on both sides in order to get the voltage or the current at that particular point where the width is 0 exactly at a point. In that case, I need to apply limit. So limit x tends to 0, delta I by delta X is nothing but V into Y. Now when you apply this limit, this can be defined as the differentiation. So di by dx is nothing but V into Y. So consider this equation as the second equation. Now I am introducing two different terms related to long transmission lines. So one is the characteristic impedance. One is the characteristic impedance. The characteristic impedance is nothing but the impedance of the line which is unaffected by the sending end voltage, sending end current, or the receiving end voltage or receiving end current. Whatever may be the load connected to the line or whatever may be the source connected to the line, the impedance of that particular line remains unchanged. We call that particular impedance as the characteristic impedance. So the characteristic impedance is given by ZC I am assuming it as ZC, it is given by root of impedance divided with admittance. I also want to introduce another term here, which is propagation constant. Propagation constant. So this gives us how means what is the phase difference between the sending end side and receiving end side, or any amount of voltage or current got reduced while traveling from sending end to receiving end. This information can be obtained from propagation constant, and we give the symbol gamma for propagation constant, and it is given by root of z into y, root of z into y. Okay, so this is about the characteristic impedance and propagation constants. Now we'll do some more mathematics here in order to extract the relations between sending in terms and the receiving end terms. First of all, I am differentiating equation 1, differentiating equation 1 with respect to x. Again, not again, equation 1, if we differentiate equation 1 with respect to x, it will be converted as d square v by dx square is equal to, here you have two terms. When you apply UV rule or f of x g of x rule, you will get I dz by dx and z di by dx. But the impedance per unit length of the transmission line is independent of change in length. Okay, for one meter length, the impedance remains constant. It depends upon the inductance and resistance. Inductance and resistance depends upon the configuration of lines, how they are connected, and what is the size of the conductor. So they do not depend upon change in length or change in the distance from the receiving end. X is nothing but the distance of that particular point from the receiving end, right? So the impedance do not depends upon the distance from the receiving end to that particular point. Here impedance is nothing but impedance per unit length. Small z is impedance per unit length, small y is admittance per unit length. Now d square v by dx square is given by z into di by dx, z into di by dx. Now what is di by dx from second equation? Vy. Now d square v by dx square is equal to z into di by dx is nothing but vy. So v into y. So it indicates that it is zy into v, and it is d square v by dx square. Now it is a second order quadratic equation. So d square v by dx square minus zy into v is equal to 0. What is this equation? This equation is a second order quadratic equation. Second order quadratic equation. Now what is the solution for this second order quadratic equation? In the sense it is a second order equation. Let me erase this quadratic term. It is a second order differential equation. Second order differential equation. Now what is the solution for this second order differential equation? You will have two roots. So v can be written as, it is e into exponential of yz into x plus b into exponential of minus not yz, it can be root yz minus root yz into x. Okay, So this is the solution for this differential equation. Let me write it again. It is like a into exponent e power gamma x. What is gamma? Root yz, plus here also I can convert this equation as d square v by dx square minus gamma square. What is z by gamma square into v is equal to 0. So the solution for this differential equation, which is in terms of gamma, is v is equal to a into e power gamma x plus b into e power minus gamma x. Now consider this equation as the third equation. Differentiate the third equation. Differentiating third equation with respect to x again. Differentiating third equation with respect to x, you will get dv by dx as a into e power gamma x differentiation is e power gamma x into gamma plus b into e power minus gamma x differentiation is e power minus gamma x into minus gamma. So it will be gamma, if you take as common, it will be a e power gamma x minus b e power minus gamma x. This is dv by dx. Now what is dv by dx from equation 1? It is iz, right? So iz is equal to, what is gamma? Gamma is root zy. So root yz or root zy into a e power gamma x minus b e power minus gamma x. Sending this z to denominator here to the RHS. So I is equal to, I can write this as root z into root y. Z can be written as root z into root z. So root z into root y divided with root z into root z. A e power gamma x minus b e power minus gamma x. Okay, so this is x. Please don't get confused with these two. It is gamma, it is x. Now root z cancel, it will become root y by z. Actually zc is root z by y and it is root y by z, so it is 1 by zc. I can write this as 1 by zc into a e power gamma x minus b e power minus gamma x. So consider this equation as the fourth equation. So first and second equations gives us the variations of voltage as well as the variations of current with respect to the distance from the receiving end. Whereas the equations 3 and the equation 4 gives us the voltages as well as the currents at a distance of x from the receiving end. Okay, so for your understanding, let me write the equations again. Now being specific, I am writing the equations as v of x is equal to, what is meant by v of x? It is let me write here, voltage at a distance of, v of x is nothing but voltage at a distance of x units, from the receiving end. Similarly, I of x is nothing but current at a distance of x units from the receiving end, from the receiving end. The units may be kilometers or meters. Usually x is in kilometers because we express the length in kilometers. Now what is v of x? V of x is nothing but V, which we have obtained just now. It is A e power gamma x plus B e power minus gamma x. A e power gamma x plus B e power minus gamma x. So this is the third equation. Similarly, what is I of x? I of x is nothing but I. It is 1 by ZC A e power gamma x minus B e power minus gamma x. So this is the fourth equation. Now how can I get the values of A and B? Because we need to know the values of A and B by substituting the limits or by substituting the boundary conditions. What are the boundary conditions? Let me write the boundary conditions first. Boundary conditions for this transmission line are when x is equal to 0 means x0 is nothing but we are at receiving end itself. So when x is equal to 0, V of x is nothing but receiving end voltage VR and I of x is nothing but receiving end current IR. Similarly, what is the another boundary? Another boundary is x is equal to L, means the total length of the line. As we are moving from receiving end, when x is equal to L, V of x is nothing but Vs, V of x is nothing but Vs and I of x is nothing but Is. Now, let us find A and B values using any one of these two boundary conditions. I am using the first boundary condition. When x is equal to 0, V of x becomes VR. So the equation 3 is converted as VR is equal to A into e power 0 is 1 plus again 0. So you will get A plus B is equal to VR. Similarly, at x is equal to 0, I of x is IR. So IR is equal to 1 by ZC as it is. And e power gamma x means e power 0 1 and e power minus 0 is also 1. So A minus B. From this equation, from the second equation, I can write A minus B as IR into ZC. From the first equation, I can get A plus B as VR. Now, adding these two equations, let me add these two equations. If you add these two equations, you will get 2 times A. B gets cancelled. So 2 times A is equal to VR plus IR times ZC. From this, what is A? A is nothing but VR plus IR into characteristic impedance ZC divided with 2. Similarly, by subtracting the first equation from the second, means subtract this equation from this equation, you will get A gets cancelled. Now it is 2B. It is equal to, I need to subtract this term from VR. So you will get VR minus IRZC. Now what is B? B is nothing but VR minus IRZC by 2. So these two are the values of A and B. This is A and this is B. Now let me substitute A and B terms or values in the equations 3 and 4. Okay. So the next step is substituting A and B values in equations 3 and 4. Now substituting A and B values here, you will get V of x as A is this one. So let me write like this, VR plus IRZC by 2 into e power gamma x and plus Vr minus IRZC by 2 into e power minus gamma x. Similarly, I of x, you can take 1 by ZC as common. And what is the first term? First term again is Vr plus IRZC by 2 into e power gamma x. And you have negative term here. So negative Vr minus IRZC by 2 into e power minus gamma x. Right? So this is the current equation and this is the voltage equation. At each and at any point, what is this equation? This is third one. Third one is just modified by substituting A and B values. So these are the equations third and fourth. Now let me do some more mathematics okay. Now use the second boundary condition. Using second boundary condition, at x is equal to L, V of x is equal to Vs and I of x is equal to Is. So at x is equal to L, V of x is equal to sending end voltage Vs, I of x is equal to sending end current Is. Now let me write V of x as Vs is equal to, we need to substitute L in the place of x wherever we have. So it is Vs is equal to Vr plus IRZC by 2 into e power gamma L. Now it becomes L plus another equation is Vr minus IRZC by 2 into e power minus gamma L. Similarly, at x is equal to I of x is Is, so Is is equal to Vr plus IR, sorry, I forgot 1 by Zc, which is the characteristic impedance. 1 by Zc is multiplied with Vr plus IRZC by 2 into e power gamma L minus Vr minus IRZC by 2 into e power minus gamma L. Okay, so this is the equation of the sending end voltage and this is the equation of sending end current. Let me give the equation numbering. This now is the equation 5 and this is equation 6. This is the equations. Now let me modify the equations 5 and 6 a little bit in order to obtain the equation in more comfortable form, because if the equations are like this, you cannot get the coefficient of Vr, coefficient of IR separately. So that is the reason why I am separating the Vr terms. If you separate Vr terms from Vs, if you observe the previous equation, Vr by 2 into e power gamma L, Vr by 2 into e power minus gamma L. If you take Vr as common, what you will get? E power gamma L plus e power minus gamma L by 2. Similarly, I want to take IR now. If I take IR as common, I am taking, let us suppose, IRZC as common, what you will get? If I take IRZC as common, you will get e power gamma L by 2 as one term and another term is minus e power gamma L by 2. So I am taking IRZC as common. So plus IRZC into you will get e power gamma L minus e power minus gamma L by 2. And Now what is this term? This term is according to hyperbolic functions. You can find this term as e power, it is like e power theta plus e power minus theta by 2. Okay, so let me write the formulas here. E power theta plus e power minus theta by 2 is nothing but cos h theta. Similarly, e power theta minus e power minus theta by 2 as sin h theta, sin h theta. Now here in place of theta what we have? We have gamma L, gamma L. So in place of this term I can write cos h gamma L. In place of the second term I can write sin h gamma L. Now the equation is converted as Vs is equal to Vr into cos h gamma L plus IR Zc into sin h gamma L. Okay, so now this is the final equation which will be in more comfortable form in order to compare them with the standard two-port network equations for any type of transmission line. Okay, so consider this equation as 7, I think so. This is the equation 7. Similarly, in the equation 6, if you observe, the sending end current is the LHS side, and if you take VR by 2 or VR by ZC as common, if you take VR by ZC as common, you will get first term as e power gamma L by 2 and second term as minus e power minus gamma L by 2. So let me take VR by ZC as common. So VR by ZC, if you take it as common, you will get e power gamma L minus, sorry, so it is e power gamma L minus e power minus gamma L divided with 2. And as the second term I am taking, if you multiply IR ZC with 1 by ZC, ZC will get cancelled. You will have only IR. If I take IR as common, you will get e power gamma L by 2, and here you will get minus of minus plus, and again if I take IR as common, you will get e power minus gamma L by 2. So if I take IR as common, what you will get? E power gamma L plus e power minus gamma L by 2. Applying the same formula here, it is like e power theta minus e power minus theta by 2, and it is like e power theta plus e power minus theta by 2, and this can be replaced with sin h theta or sin h gamma L, and this can be replaced with cos h gamma L. Hence I can obtain the sending end current as VR by ZC into sin h gamma L plus IR into cos h gamma L. So this is the equation 8. So these are the solutions for the rigorous method where we extracted the relation between the sending end terms and the receiving end terms using the knowledge of differentiation, basically using the knowledge of the differentiation as well as trigonometry. We have obtained these relations. Okay, we have not used here KVL and KCL relations directly in order to obtain or in order to extract the relations. Now comparing 7 and 8, let me write the standard two-port network equations. So I am writing the standard two-port network equations as Vs is equal to AVR plus VIR and IS is equal to CVR plus DIR. These are the standard two-port network equations. Considering these equations as 9 and 10, let me write here. Now what I am doing is I am comparing the equations 7 and 8 with the equations 9 and 10. Okay, so comparing equations 7 and 8 with equations 9 and 10. By comparing the equations 7 and 8 with the equations 9 and 10, we'll get A, B, C, D values easily. By just comparing and seeing the coefficients, we can easily pick the values. Now A is equal to, in place of A we have cos h gamma L. In place of B we have ZC into sin h gamma L. ZC into sin h gamma L. Similarly, in place of C we have 1 by ZC into sin h gamma L, and in place of D we have cos h gamma L. And now we need to check whether these ABCD matrices follow, these ABCD parameters, follow the properties of symmetry and reciprocity. So for being the matrix to be a for being the network to be a symmetrical network, the condition is A value must be equal to D. If you observe A and D, you can see that it is cos h gamma L. Similarly, for the network, so this is for symmetry condition. This is the symmetry condition. Now for the network to be reciprocal, the condition is AD minus BC must be equal to 0. AD minus BC is equal to 1. AD minus BC is equal to 1. So this is the condition for reciprocity. This is the condition for reciprocity. Now check whether this condition is satisfied or not. What is the multiplication of A and D? It is cos h gamma L into cos h gamma L, cos h square gamma L, not cos square. We need to write like this: cos h square gamma L, and if you multiply B and D, ZC will get cancelled. You will get sin h square gamma L. So in hyperbolics, okay, in hyperbolic trigonometry, cos h square theta minus sin h square theta is equal to 1. Okay, so cos h square theta minus sin h square theta is equal to 1 in hyperbolic trigonometry. So this is 1. So the network follows both the properties, which is symmetry and reciprocity. We can observe all these properties even for short as well as medium lines. What are the ABCD parameters for short? Let me do for short also. What are the ABCD parameters for short? It is 1 Z 0 1. These are ABCD parameters for short line. For short line. Now, what is here? If you observe, A is nothing but D, and AD minus BC is equal to 1. AD minus BC is equal to 1. Both are satisfying. Both symmetry and reciprocity for short line. Similarly, for medium line, I will consider one line. For time being, I consider only one line, which is a nominal T line or nominal T representation. For nominal T representation, what are the ABCD parameters? It is 1 plus YZ by 2 is A, and B is Z plus YZ square by 4, and C is Y, D is 1 plus YZ by 2, right? Now if you observe this matrix, this is for medium line, This is for medium line, as well as in that medium line it is for T representation. For pi representation, the ABCD matrices somewhat differ. Now if you observe here, here also A is equal to D, and find, this is the task for you which I am giving, find whether AD minus BC is giving you the value of 1 or not. You need to multiply these two, A and D, and multiply these two, B and C, and subtract, right? When you do this subtraction, you will see that again this value is unity. So for short line, for medium line, it may be T or pi, and for long line, the property of symmetry and reciprocity satisfied. Okay. So this is about the relation between the sending end and the receiving end terms using rigorous solution for a long transmission line. I have introduced two different terms here, two new terms here. One is the characteristic impedance and the propagation constant. Okay. So this is about modeling of long transmission line, or the rigorous solution related to long transmission line. And in the next class, we'll have some more discussion on especially long transmission lines. Okay. So thank you very much.